I mean, we might as well just start with Ferrari because why not? It was. I mean, they at least deserve. They deserve for us to start with them. Um, so I'm gonna ask this question, guys, and I want you to really think about this for a second. Um, and I don't want to be that guy that sort of jumps the gun and starts saying ridiculous things like my name's not Helmut Marko and so on. Like I'm not gonna start saying ridiculous things like Max is going to put a Haas on pole because clearly, I mean, he couldn't put a Red Bull on pole, so I don't know how he was going to put a Haas on pole. Anyways, I'm not going to say anything ridiculous, but I do want to ask a question that I've genuinely thought about today, and I was thinking about more my time watching F1. Have you ever seen such an have you ever seen such a high have you ever seen such a high IQ win before? And let me explain what I mean. I've watched F1 for a very long time. I've seen some very high IQ racing, high IQ driving, especially from guys like Alonso, Schumacher. Those guys have extremely high IQs and they think very differently while they're going 300 kilometers an hour. But I've never seen somebody win by literally slowing down and allowing the second position guy to get the DRS in order for him to win. Like, the thought process going through his mind at that time when he decided to do that, and also the balls he must have had knowing that Norris wasn't going to actually pass him. He literally had to keep that gap into a position where it's like, okay, he'll get DRS, but he just won't have enough. He must have known that he was quicker than Norris in most of the other sectors to be able to pull away again after he caught up. So, I mean, again, I'm going to ask that question. Have you ever seen a high IQ win like this one?
No, not at all.
No, no, and yes, no. Reason why is because I know Hamilton tried the same tactic in 2016. I don't know if he won that race against Rosberg, where he wanted the other guys to be close to Rosberg. Because I remember Rosberg had to finish within the points or finish second or third to win the championship. If I'm not mistaken.
I think it was Abu Dhabi, right at the end.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I'm not saying it was the same thing.
Yeah.
But Hamilton did try to do the same thing by actually slowing the traffic down so the other guys can catch up to Rosberg or something like that.
Yeah.
But what Carlos Sainz done was amazing. I've never seen before.
I think it's a slightly different way of.
Yeah. We have to go watch maybe what Alan Prost was like, maybe when he's
the professor.
He was high IQ driver. 100%. But what Sainz done, I mean, guys, it's phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sainz done something that Leclerc could never do in other years. I'm gonna say that now. He done something that I don't think Leclerc could ever do that. If Leclerc was in that car and he was going through that race, I don't think Leclerc will be able to think of stuff like that. I think Leclerc will be asking the team about strategies more than actually doing his own strategy.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Yeah, it's amazing.
Amazing. Cool. And then I've got to say, I don't know who wants to take a stab at this, but we have possibly got some new subscribers or new watchers, maybe people who don't understand F1 as much. Maybe we'll clip this, so in less than a minute, preferably if you can. Just explain exactly what Sainz did. What did he do? What did he do? Jeez, like it. What did he do? What did he do that was so significant? And why is this such a high IQ thing? And I want one of you to just, in less than a minute, just explain to anybody new. Go for it. Go for it.
What made this such a high IQ play is the fact that Carlos Sainz was willing to risk himself being overtaken by the other driver who also wants to lead. Nobody can tell me Lando didn't want to win as well that bad. The thing that made this so incredible is the fact that he put himself in danger, but kept the danger on such a fine balance to make sure that the two cars coming from behind that are much faster than them could not pass the car in between. Well, the car in between, so they couldn't get to Carlos. He literally used Norris as a shield, lose the win. And that balance of 0.8 of a second is literally like a trapeze artist trying to do trapeze, but he's drunk. It's an extremely, it's an incredible skill. And Carlos, literally, I've never seen anyone do that. Something like that. Incredible.
I mean, just to add on, Dirk, on that, the most important thing as well for people that don't really understand Formula One is also about strategy. So in terms of, I'm not going to be too corporate when I say this, he could forecast what's going to happen in the race. So you could see different scenarios of what will happen. I'm sure he thought what was going to happen if the two Mercedes actually pit and go for the second stop, that they will be coming back to hunt him down. And you could understand where his tires were and when to push and when not to push and when to use Norris as a shield. He kept all those weapons and used them at the right time. And that's how he got.
Okay, cool. And then if I can just add my 2 cents, he did all of that whilst driving 300 kilometers an hour. Just to put that into perspective, the significance is also the fact that he thought of all of that while driving a ridiculous top speed. So it was just an incredible thing. I don't think we should go on too much about it because there is a lot to get through today. But honestly, well done to Sainz. He's definitely coming into his own, and I've got to say something to you two Ferrari supporters. It's 2 races or 3 races in a row now that Sainz has shown that he's your number one driver. He is. He might not be faster than Leclerc at most races, but he's definitely grabbing a hold of that car right now, and he's showing Leclerc up. And you can shake your head, BT.
I disagree. I strongly disagree.
You can shake your head, BT. But if you consider if you can shake your head, but you can't tell me I'm wrong, because when your own team uses Leclerc as a sacrificial lamb, no, let me finish. When your own team decides to use Leclerc as a sacrificial lamb, that tells me that they've already decided that Sainz is their new number one driver.
I disagree with you. Not gonna lie.
I'm not surprised, but go on.
You know why? And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying too soon. That's what I'm saying. There's one more year. They're both of them are teammates.
Yeah.
Do you know how I'm reviewing this? Leclerc was better last year. Sainz is better this season. They have one more season together, and that's next year.
So
next year will determine.
So it's a 1-1 draw now. What's a 1-1 draw?
Yes.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, you are Ferrari fan. If I'm wrong by saying that, please tell me.
Yeah.
But the way I'm looking at it, we can't jump the gun just now. Okay. A year ago, we were saying the Leclerc was the better driver because the car suited him. This time, Sainz and that car are in sync. Leclerc is not doing a bad job. He's still making those iffy mistakes, like the mistake he made when he almost ran into Norris. That's why he dropped in place.
Am I not right in saying that Sainz beat Leclerc in the first year that he was with Ferrari?
Yeah, that is true. Sainz beat Leclerc in 2021. He beat Leclerc in 2021.
So technically, it's 1-1.
That's what I'm saying, that we can only judge it in terms of what you say. I'm not saying you're wrong.
No, what I mean is it's 1-1, and this year is the decider year because it's 1-1. Because 2021 was Sainz, 2022 was Leclerc.
It could be 2-2 next year. Who knows?
Yeah. No. Okay. On a serious note, I obviously was trying to rile you up, and it worked clearly. But on a serious note, though, what I am trying to say here is basically Sainz is on that level. He is on a level that I didn't think he was. I've always liked him. I've always liked Sainz. You know, I've always sung his praises, but I never thought he was I mean, I've told you before, he's like Bottas to me. He's literally the perfect number 2 driver, but he's showing a different side of him now. And maybe all he needed was a car that suited him better. I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna ask you guys. First of all, I'm gonna say one thing about Ferrari. Everything worked. Great pit stops, an amazing double stack, which Ferrari never get right. I'm surprised they actually had tires available for that double stack, but they did, and it worked. They brought the tires, they brought the jacks, and as a bonus, even the mechanics were present for the double stack, which was amazing. So honestly, well done to Ferrari on that. I'm gonna leave you guys with one more question about Ferrari, and then you guys can have your say if there's anything else that you would like. One question about Ferrari, and this is where it could get a little juicy. I'm very, very curious to hear. Leclerc, the sacrificial lamb, should he have accepted that?
Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, Graham, thank you for the constant emotional damage of reminding us about Ferrari's crappy pit stops. And I'm going to have nightmares tonight again and I can't sleep, but it's all good. Okay.
Sorry.
First of all, for me personally, the only way Carlos Sainz won that race was if Leclerc was sacrificed, or if Leclerc jumped Sainz at the beginning of the race. The only way Ferrari was winning that race was if one of the drivers got sacrificed, and unfortunately, Leclerc was the one to be sacrificed. And I mean, even though Leclerc's pit stop took long, it wasn't Ferrari or Leclerc's fault. They literally had to hold him to not give him an unsafe release.
Yeah.
And to also pull along the previous point that I just want to mention as well, I don't agree, but also don't disagree with both of you. It is too soon for me to say Carlos is officially the number 1 driver. It is really, I mean, before 3 races ago, Leclerc was very much the quicker driver. And even these weekends where Sainz has beaten Leclerc, Zandvoort, yes, Sainz really embarrassed Leclerc. But Monza, they were close in qualifying, they were close in the race. And I mean, this weekend in Singapore, the difference between Sainz, Russell, and Leclerc was less than 800ths of a second. Yeah. That's 0.08. They were still close. And Leclerc was only so far behind because he had to be the sacrifice this weekend. Leclerc is still doing a good job. But I feel if Sainz does to Leclerc from Zandvoort basically to the end of the season, what Leclerc did to him at the beginning of the season, then there's definitely a topic to talk about who can be first and second driver.
Yeah.
But currently, Sainz is outperforming Leclerc, and it's not wrong to see him as Ferrari's current number 1 because he is outperforming Leclerc. And nobody ever thought someone would be able to outperform Leclerc in a Ferrari. They both said that car doesn't suit them, but it seems to me Sainz has figured out the car quicker than Leclerc.
Can I just, BT, before you give me an answer, I just want to say one thing on Leclerc here, and I could be wrong here, but I personally don't feel that Leclerc is a polished diamond. I feel like he's been a rough diamond for way too long now. But he hasn't been polished correctly. I don't think he's been nurtured into that perfect driver. I still think he has much more potential than Sainz does. I think what we've seen is Sainz's best. This is Sainz's best.
Ooh.
I think what we've seen is Sainz's best, but Leclerc, I still think can be polished more, which tells me that Leclerc will still be a much better driver moving forward. I'm gonna say this again. I've sung. You can ask BT. I sing Sainz's praises all the time, but there's one thing that I can't be delusional about, and that is, as a raw product, Leclerc is naturally gifted, and I just think with a little bit more polishing, he could be the answer to Ferrari. Anyways, I just wanted to add that. BT, should Leclerc have accepted being the sacrificial lamb?
I'm not going to be too long as well, and I do agree what you just said about Leclerc, Graham. Exactly what I've been thinking about as well. Okay. Anyway, my question is, on top of that question, is that did he have a choice though?
Yeah.
Did he have a choice to say yes or no? Was he aware that he was going to be sacrificed? Because I remember after the pit stop, he did actually talk to the team and ask them, like, what's happening? Why was the pit stop so slow? So that kind of showed me that he wasn't quite aware what was happening, which is it was quite funny.
Yeah.
But I think as the race went, he kind of saw what was happening and he accepted it.
Yeah.
He had to be a team player.
Yeah.
100%.
Unfortunately, that race was a race where Leclerc had to be unselfish and had to step aside and let science take control of everything. Unfortunately, so that's just the way I looked at it. It wasn't a bad thing or anything like that, because I'm sure Ferrari just wanted
100%. 100%.
They didn't care who was going to win the race. If it was Leclerc was going to win the race. If it was Sainz was going to win the race. I think Ferrari's strategy was on that.
Yeah, just win the race. Who's ever in the front, win the race. Yeah.
And they had to continue the culture of actually being the team that actually wins the race after the dominant team actually has a horrible weekend. Because they were the guys that won the first race of the season for those McLaren years in the 80s and 90s. So they continued with the same tradition by actually winning a race where a certain car or manufacturer was dominant.
Well, Sainz said it quite well at the end. He said that what impressed him the most is that they had one opportunity to get a win this year, and the team all came together and made it happen. So I've got to give Ferrari a round of applause for that, because we know this team to bottle almost everything that they've come across, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's just that's just how it's been this year. But when as soon as they had the opportunity to pull off a win, they really did the best that they could have, and it worked. So well done to them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another question I have is that if Ferrari actually pitted Leclerc when the Mercedes were pitting, do you think Leclerc was going to go for that win, or was going to go for Norris?
Absolutely for the
win. Do you think Ferrari had the pace to do what Mercedes done by chasing those guys down? Do you think Leclerc? So listen, I think Ferrari made I can't say it's a good decision and a bad decision. I was also quite confused, but I understood later in the race why they did it. But I continued asking myself that question. I asked myself that question when Mercedes put it. Leclerc wanted to put as well. So I asked myself, why didn't Ferrari actually put Leclerc? Leclerc had there was quite a gap between him and Verstappen, if I'm not mistaken. There was a pitting section where you could actually go for it, but actually come out in front of Verstappen still, and actually still chase the Mercedes down, and maybe chase Norris. Because I know I'm rambling, but I think Ferrari, the strategy was so open for them. They had options to choose. They had an option to choose to put Leclerc chase down the Mercedes, maybe go past both of them, maybe go past Norris, and maybe do team orders afterwards and tell Leclerc, you stay behind side, you protect side.
100%.
They had that option as well, and they chose the more safer option and just continued using him as sacrifice, basically. Because we knew that when the Mercedes got to Leclerc, I wasn't expecting Leclerc to defend that position. His tires were way off. So, it's just the question I had on my side. That's what I was watching the race, after the race. Actually.
Okay, cool. Yes, you are rambling, so thank you for stopping. I appreciate it. No.
Pleasure.
No, I'm just joking. I love you, BT. I really do. I really, really do. Honestly, with all my heart. Anyways, I've got to touch on what you've said now. I've got to just add one thing. I do recall that he had a pit stop in hand on Max, but I also don't think that the Red Bull performance was actually all that bad in the race, considering Max did finish fifth and Max almost got to Leclerc on the line at the end. So had Leclerc made that pit, it could have meant that Max was also in the frame at that point in time, or later in the race, because Max caught him eventually. I think it was on the last lap.
Yeah.
Max was not that far behind.
4 tenths.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, I am ready to move on while we're talking about Max to Red Bull. Are you guys happy to move on? Dirk, got anything to add?
Yeah, let's move on
Let's
to the
move on.
truck
It's all
team.
good.